Hello guys and welcome back to my channel for another weekly What I Watched. So we're halfway through September. Let's get to what I've been watching this past week. Okay, the old video recorder is on. So I think I left you last week with Escape Room Tournament of Champions, so we're straight on to the 14th and it's a bit of a sober start to the week. Now, I may well go on to do a video on this next programme. I may do it, obviously, given the date, November. I may keep it until then. I need to talk about this documentary, November 13th Attack on Paris. Obviously, we all know about the awful Bataclan attack and the surrounding restaurants and the stadium that same evening. Now, I watch a lot of documentaries. It's just my thing. I like learning about what's going on in the world, the intricacies behind different things. I watched a lot of 9/11 documentaries, obviously with the 20-year anniversary recently, and I had seen them all back in the day also. But usually I want to know more about specific things, about the people, about the stories of the people, rather than just concentrating on the terrorists and the physicality of what happened, which I think we can all agree was reported massively on the news, and there are programmes with that content also. But I want to hear the people's stories, and this documentary, November 13th Attack on Paris, is exceptional. It's really emotional, really moving. It made me cry numerous times. This documentary actually interviews individual people that were present at the cafes inside the Bataclan. It goes through the night from start to finish. It interviews people from the fire brigade, from the ambulance service, from the police force, and it covers how they were feeling, talking about their own families in relation to what they were going to have to go in and do. The people that were in there thinking about their children back at home that were at the gig, how some of them survived, what they did, the relationships that were formed between people. Sorry, let me just open this up for you so you can... The relationships that actually formed between people that were hostage together. There were a group in the Bataclan after the initial entry of the terrorists that were actually taken hostage, and there are some beautiful moments there of like one young lad reaching out and holding another man's hand. That human connection, that strength of feeling. It just, this was, now this is going to sound really odd, but this was such a positive, uplifting program. It was extremely upsetting in the extreme. What happened was hideous, but this program brings the people out overall. It shows the terrorists for what they are, for the cowards that they are, for just the little men that they are, and the people of Paris just reign supreme in this documentary, and just the empathy, the human emotion, the resilience, the bravery, how they overcome. Absolutely beautiful. How some of the people speak. There's a specific girl that's interviewed a few times, and she must be a poet or an author, and how she voices her experience is just, the wording's beautiful. I love this documentary. I thought it was first rate. I would highly recommend it if you can bear it. It's upsetting, and I don't mean it's upsetting, there's nothing, no gratuitous stuff, no horrible things in this. Obviously what happened in the description is in there, which is upsetting. But this is really a human story. I shouldn't talk about it too much because I do want to talk about it at length. I just think it really needs to be seen. It's a beautiful piece of documentary filmmaking. So I watched that, I believe, on Amazon Prime. It could have been Netflix. I think it was Amazon Prime. I watched that. I thoroughly recommend it, folks. It was fantastic. On the next evening, I watched the new action film on Netflix that a few people have been reviewing, called Kate. I'd watched Gunpowder Milkshake relatively recently, and I'd heard it was similar but better. Now, I did like Gunpowder Milkshake, but it didn't wow me. I'd heard over and over again that the actual performance, let me get the name because you know me, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead was fantastic. Totally agree. This girl's performance in this movie is amazing. This follows the story of a young woman that is seeking revenge for something that has happened to her. So it's basically the female John Wick. She's going out there, she's seeking to hunt specific people down. She forms a relationship on the way with a young girl, you can see there in the photograph. There's a couple of twisty turns in there. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really entertaining film. I thought it was much better than Gunpowder Milkshake. I empathised and related to the characters much more. I cared about the characters, which I didn't really in the other movie. Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this is wonderful. She carries it. If it wasn't for the strength of her performance, it may be a lot weaker than it actually is. I'm not going to say you're going to see much new in this. There are a few little contingency bits which are irritating if you're really anal about what's just happened and what marks are where, but I've sort of let all that stuff go, and it's like I just want to sit down and be entertained. And this is an entertaining piece of filmmaking, so I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I would recommend. It's not going to show you anything new. It's not going to be a massive blockbuster. People aren't going to be talking about it in 20 years, but it's a fun watch, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is excellent in it. So the following, I'm into Kate again, Lisa, what are you doing? The following evening I watched Prey. Okay, so this is a movie on Netflix at the moment. It is German. I will watch most things in German as I love the language. It was my favourite subject in school. I did it to A-level. I adore German. A lot of people don't, and I understand it's quite a sort of like a guttural, brutish language. It sounds that way to some, whereas your Spanish, Italians and French is very poetic and beautiful. I love German. I love, this isn't about German, but just how the language is put together and formed. I love it. Some of the words in German for English things, it's just beautiful. Freudenschade is one I like. Teufelskreis is another I like. I'm just fangirling about German now. So this is a movie about a group of hikers that are doing what you do. They're out hiking and someone starts to hunt them down. Someone starts to shoot at them. They don't know why, they don't know who, and basically people are getting picked off here. And this movie follows the people trying to survive. There's a bit of drama going on amongst some of the people in the group, and we get to know who is hunting them down, the backstory and why. I didn't hate this as much as a lot of people did. I was entertained by this. My attention was kept all the way through. I did enjoy it. Maybe the language thing did help because I do love to hear the German language. It tests sort of like my memory and what I've kept from school, which was a long time ago. I gave this a 2.5 out of 5. I give things a 3 that I think are like really well worth you watching. I give this a 2.5 even though I did enjoy it, because I'm figuring that it just appealed to me. I like things that are character based. I like things that are quite slow moving. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. I like to build on the characters. I do feel that we could have got more of a backstory of the characters and we could have got to know more about intrinsically what made them them. So I held back to a 2.5 because I do realise it may not be everyone's cup of tea. The German did escalate it for me. It's a bit weird, but I love the language. On the same evening, this is an interesting little movie, Shuffle. This is on Amazon Prime at the moment. So this is a movie about a guy that wakes up constantly at a different stage in his life. I'll read the gump, it'll maybe make more sense. Every day I wake up at a different age in a different year on a different day of my life. So basically it's Groundhog Day with a difference. I want it to stop. Lovell Milo is a man who begins experiencing his life out of order. Every day he wakes up at a different age on a different day of his life, never knowing where or when he's going to be one, so he keeps falling asleep. He's almost got narcolepsy, and when he falls asleep he wakes up and he could be 10, it could be 40, it could be 23. He's terrified and wants it to stop until he notices a pattern in his experience and works to uncover why this is happening to him and what or who is behind it. Okay, I enjoyed this. There is a little bit of dodgy acting in it. It does appear at the start to be a bit basic. Persevere. This one I did enjoy. It's a bit of a different spin on the Groundhog Day. There's a lot that goes on in this guy's life, but he's obviously, in all these ages that he is aware of what has happened in his life, what's gone before. So he's there as a 10-year-old boy, and he's aware how his life is going to pan out, so different people become more relevant than perhaps they would have been when he was 10. He's just trying to figure out what the hell's going on, why this is happening to him. I enjoyed this. I have to... It reminded me of was it Italian movie that was on Netflix that I loved last year? that was set around Christmas, and it was kind of like a Christmas carol. It's like, what do I need to change in my life to stop this repeating? It had that sort of vibe to it. There's a little twist in there also. I enjoyed it. I give it, I give it a 3 out of 5. I would recommend, because I liked it, because I felt it was novel, it was different. I'm not going to say you're going to go into watch this and be blown away by it, but it is entertaining, it is different. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for me. On the 18th, right, okay, I watched this. Pause, let me try and explain. I started watching the channel recently that I became aware of through Fever Dreamland Theatre. He has been nominated for Horror YouTuber of the Month this month, so go give him a vote. I will actually try to remember to put in the link how you can do that. Anthony is just an awesome lad. The girl that won Horror YouTuber last month obviously had to put forward nominations, and he was one. This girl's channel I hadn't heard of. She's called Rainbow Fright, all one word. And when I went and checked the channel out, I loved what I saw. She was doing some true crime, but she was doing her nails, which, oh my god, I know guys here, you're not going to be interested in nails, but the artistry of her putting these, just painting these nails, she did Candyman themed ones. Her voice is just amazing. She's telling these stories, she does movie reviews. I absolutely adored her channel. Now, she did a review for 1408. Now, as she's talking, I'm thinking, I've seen this movie. I didn't like it. Why did I not like it? I love Samuel L. Jackson. I love John Cusack. I love Stephen King adaptations. I love anything paranormal, supernatural. This should be the movie for me. I saw this at the cinema in 2007 when it was released, and I came out thinking, I didn't like that. And as she's given the review, I'm thinking, was I wrong? Should I watch this again? And I did. I watched it again. It's purely based on her channel and her review, which was excellent. I will try to remember to pop her at the comments below also. Do go and support Anthony. He's a part of the cinema squad, and he's a lovely guy. So I watched it again. I didn't really like it again. I remembered why I didn't like it the first time. I love John Cusack as an actor. I think he's really he's a really subtle actor. He doesn't overplay things. I really get behind characters he plays and I believe them. Everest, this movie had everything that I should love, but it didn't gel with me. It was too much. They showed too much, they did too much. I think it should have been more subtle, there should have been less happening. But again, it's based on an adaptation of a Stephen King, I believe, short story, maybe a novella, but not a full novel. It was a bit much. I mean, The Shining was changed from the book, and when you hear the difference between the book and the movie, you struggle with if they had have kept it true to the book. I mean, topiary animals in the maze came alive in the book and chased you. If you compare that with a maniac wielding an axe chasing you, I know what one I'm more frightened of and what one's going to put the fear of God into me. So sometimes I think if you try to stick too religiously to a book and you put it across in film medium, doesn't necessarily work. And I feel that for 1408 there was too much. I love the idea, I love the concept around it. It just did not work for me personally. So I give it a 2.5. On the 19th, I watched Misha and the Wolves. Now this is one that's been on my watch list for ages. And Sean from Lost in the Reel had also says, oh, I think you'll like this. And he said it was on Netflix, so I'm looking through Netflix thinking, how have I missed this? It's on my watch list. It's not on UK Netflix yet. However, it is on US Netflix, so if you have a VPN and you are willing to subscribe to the US version, which I would thoroughly recommend if you like seeing new things quicker, you can see it. People say to me, how have you seen this? It's not out yet. I set my VPN to, which is completely legal, folks, to any area of the world that has whatever thing I want to watch on stream, and you will have to, if you use the service a lot, like I do use Netflix US version a lot, so you will have to pay to subscribe. But if you pay like on Amazon Prime to rent these titles, it'll cost you more. So for me it works and I get to watch a ton of stuff. So that's just my little tip for you. Get a good VPN and subscribe to streaming services in other countries. So Misha and the Wolves is a documentary. It's not entirely how it sounds. I thought this was about a young girl that had been brought up by wolves, because I didn't want to read much about it because I don't like to spoil things. This is the story of a young girl who grew up during the Holocaust, whose parents were both taken away from her and sent to concentration camps. This young girl grows up, goes through different things in life and writes a book about her experiences. This book is picked up by a publisher and is made into a movie, I think in Belgium. Now, in the course of this documentary, it is discovered, not in the course of the documentary, it's discovered by different people that certain things that this individual has said over the years in interviews, she's very well known in Belgium, perhaps doesn't add up. So they begin looking into her stories, her past, things she said happened, like she did spend some time with wild wolves as a child, and they start to pick apart pieces of her past. So that is what this is about. A woman's Holocaust memoir takes the world by storm, but a fallout from her publisher turned detective reveals her story has been an audacious deception created to hide a darker truth. Now, I don't understand what they mean by to hide a darker truth there. Oh, right, yes, I remember it right. Yeah, there's something that comes out at the end of it, which I'm not even going to say. But there's just bits and pieces. I'm not saying this woman's my elbow is on the table making a funny noise. I have not farted. I know that's not what you want to hear come out of my mouth, but I haven't. Just in case you're listening and going, I'm so used to my husband and so, have you farted? No, I haven't. It's my foot on the floor. It's my elbow on the table. So I'm used to having to make excuses for myself. I'm not saying everything this woman said is not true. I'm saying there are aspects of her past that didn't happen as she said it did. Again, it's a Holocaust documentary. A lot of it's in French. Probably 3/4 English, about 1/4 French, because different people interviewed are speaking in French. Obviously subtitles, so you don't have to worry. I would say I did enjoy it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It is an interesting documentary, but I don't think it will appeal to the vast majority of people unless you're mad into documentaries like I am. It is very slow moving. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of people's opinions. It's worth watching if you like that kind of thing. That's how I'll put it. Especially if you're interested in the Holocaust and you want to watch something different that's not going to just leave you a shuddering, shaking, crying mess like things about the Holocaust generally do. This story is a little bit lighter. I'm not going to say anything around the Holocaust can be light because it isn't, but this is more about the woman rather than the actual what happened during the Holocaust. I hope I haven't said the wrong thing there, but you know what I mean. I find Holocaust, just everything about it, just really, really deeply disturbing. I'm deviating. It's the thought that so many people could do what happened, and certain things that happen in a war situation that is normalised, and the treatment of different people. And this goes on. The Holocaust is the worst example of this, obviously, but this goes on in a lot of countries, and it seems to be when you get a lot of people together with a mindset, some of the things that they are capable of just makes my toes curl, and it really upsets me. Just humanity losing all sense of itself, of their own humanity, and having no empathy whatsoever for another human being. And my mind can't get itself around that. Like people being capable of doing what they did in those camps because someone told them they had to. And then you've got that question, would you rather die? Because that's probably what would happen. Or do these things to these other people? And I can't say that I would knowingly gas a room full of children, just kill all these people because I'm trying to protect my own skin. I don't know, it's one of those things, it disturbs me in a big way. Okay, off the soapbox, Lisa. On the same evening, this was last night actually, I watched Malcolm is a Little Unwell. This is another documentary. I'm sorry folks, I'm obsessed. This covers a foreign news correspondent called Malcolm Brabant. It charts the descent into madness of veteran foreign correspondent Malcolm Brabant after a routine yellow fever vaccine for an assignment in Africa. Now, the only thing that did strike me negatively about this is, people, the non-vaxxers are going to watch this and go, look, see. And I didn't like that side of the fact that people will use this as an excuse. Again, this is not a political stance. It's people argue about this, so I'm very much pro-vaccine. I don't understand how people will happily take injections to go to foreign countries for holiday, but no about the COVID, but let's not get into that. So this guy gets a yellow fever vaccine for his work in Africa, and he has an exceptionally rare reaction to this vaccine in that he becomes completely mad. He has to be put in a psychiatric institution for a long time. He has a son who's around, at that time, around about 11, 12, who's been really massively affected now. He's a young man now, but it's really badly affected him because he was at those formative years and his father just went crazy. What his wife went through supporting him and seeing the man that she loved, just his spiral into complete and utter madness, and the suffering that he underwent and what she had to watch him go through. He tried to kill himself. He didn't succeed. He was found by a nurse. It's really upsetting stuff. He believed he was the Messiah. He believed that he had to be kept safe, and he would be able to save the world. Then he believed he was Joseph, his wife was Mary, and his son was Jesus. Now, I have to say, this man, before all of this, was pretty anti-religion. He just didn't want any part of it. He didn't like the whole institution of religion, and he just flipped. He thought he was the chosen one. He was telling people, you have to keep me safe because I'm going to save the world. He went out on his balcony and he lived in, is it Denmark? Oh, I am sorry, I think it's Denmark he lived in. And he's shouting to his neighbours, I know we've never spoken, but I know you're Christian. You have to protect, and he's shouting this to his neighbours, you have to protect me because I'm the chosen one and I'm going to save the world. There's other times he's just going off, he's yelling and screaming. Is him being a journalist, he did start to record himself, but then he got too bad to even think about recording himself, so his wife actually recorded some of his runts, some of his breakdowns, and she did a little diary of how she was feeling, and this has all been culminated in a documentary. Malcolm actually also wrote a book in 2015 about his experiences, and that was used to do this documentary. But to see the little excerpts of when they were going through it and what they were going through, it was frightening stuff. What can happen to a person's mind? And this obviously is an extremely rare reaction, but it can happen. And it has raised severe questions about how much of this, they think possibly too much of the vaccine has been given to people that's not required. It's interesting if you like that kind of thing. It is a documentary. I gave 3.5. I felt it was very well made. I loved how personal it was. I loved the actual real footage of him right in the midst of what he's going through, talking in tears, furious, animated, his wife suffer. Everything is so real in this. Well, it is real. I just thought it was a real warts and all deep dive into mental illness. So 3.5 for me. That is on Amazon Prime. So finally, I'm not going to talk about the last one, I'll just tell you what it is. Squid Game. This is a Korean series on Netflix at the moment. It read very much like another series I watched a while back, and it had the word Alice in the title, and I can't remember the rest. I think it did. But basically, you know the concept behind Battle Royale and the other series. It's about a series of games where you have to be the last person standing, and you know what like Asian cinema can be like. It's pretty brutal. This is no exception, but this has got a brilliant story behind it, and we're following an individual. Other characters are obviously introduced, and they're all in a situation where, financially speaking, they're pretty much next to ruined, bankrupt, owing money to people they don't want to be owing money to. Their life is just slowly going down the drain. They've all got different responsibilities, different things they need money for. Our main character's mother's very ill, needs medical treatment, that doesn't come cheap. And they have to undergo a series of games, which a lot of people die during. Now, I'm only on episode 3, I believe there are 9 episodes in the series, and it started off really promising, I'm really liking it, so that is Squid Game. I shall let you know next week if I finished it all. I will try to and get to you with what I think, but if you like Asian cinema, Korean I think is just so good, and I'm really enjoying that Squid Game at the moment. So I've got my wee piece of paper with my stuff that I can't get on Letterboxd. Okay, my eye is really itchy right where that's disgusting, I'm pulling my eyelashes. right at the bit. Oh dear, it's a good job I don't wear when I wear false eyelashes, I look like a man doing drag. It's awful. You see all these women on video and they've got these beautiful, like, fluffy, floaty fake eyelashes and they look amazing. That doesn't happen when I put on fake eyelashes. It's not good. It's not. As a matter of fact, a man doing drag looks better than me in fake eyelashes. I think you get to an age where you're too old for it, and I've reached that age now. So, I've been watching, I finished the series Into the Night, which I may have touched on last week. There's 2 series on Netflix at the moment. It's the thing about people trying to escape a danger that's happening that's killing off everyone on Earth. I finished that, really good, enjoyed it just as much as the first series. Really looking forward to, they have to do another one because it ends on a massive cliffhanger. Screen Kings actually did a review on the 2nd season of this. Now it does have spoilers, but it passes a stage where he does warn you and say, right, from this point on I'm going to talk spoilers. So if you want to know a little bit more about the series than I'm going into now, because I tend to be very vague because I don't want to tell you too much. But it's a really excellent series. It is in numerous languages, so if that's an issue, perhaps not. But obviously we have all the subtitles. There's German, French, Spanish, maybe, yeah, Italian I think as well, and English. Really fantastic cast, brilliant characters, believable characters, interesting backstories. Really like interesting story that we're following also about what the imminent danger is and how they're trying to get around that. So yeah, Into the Night, would thoroughly recommend. Money Heist documentary is on Netflix about the making of the last season that we've just watched. I can't get enough of this series. I love it. I love the characters. And none of them have egos. The documentary shows, obviously don't watch it if you haven't watched the latest season on Netflix. But they've got such love amongst the characters, and if one of them has been written out, if they've died, it shows how moved they are. They don't want to move on, but they have loved their time, and the rest of the cast are all together giving them big bunches of flowers and gifts, and there's a real love amongst the people on that show, and it's one of my favourite shows. I adore it. So the fact that the actors behind the scenes just all seem genuinely lovely people just makes my heart sing. I love it. Ted Lasso, obviously still watching every week, still loving it. If you haven't watched Ted Lasso, get onto it. It's really, really good. Also, Only Murders in the Building, watching that week by week. Wishing I had it to binge, but it's just been released week on week, so I'm watching it. That's the one about the 3 people setting up a podcast, a true crime podcast, because there has been a murder in their building that they all live in together. Not together, in different apartments in a block. Really funny. Really like dry humour, which I love. I haven't seen Steve Martin in anything in years, and I really like him. To me, Steve Martin is one of the most awesome comedy actors, but there's just so much more he can do. But I love him in this. I do love Steve Martin. So yeah, Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso, Money Heist documentary, Into the Night, and the last thing I've been watching, this is a weird one, Metal Shop Masters, Netflix documentary. I love challenge documentaries. I watched one about glass blowers, which was so interesting, where you get all these people competing together they blow glass in they've got different topics every week. They have to produce something to fit a criteria, and it's a competition. All the tattoo shows, like Tattoo Master, I love that. Well, this one is about, and there's one about Lego as well. There's a US one, which I've watched, a British one I watched, and there's an Australian one I'm watching at the minute. It's ridiculous. So Metal Shop Masters is basically a competition of people making metal displays, sculptures. They're given a topic, a subject, and everyone must make something to fit that topic, and same scenario, people are voted out till we're left with one remaining. I just love that sort of like idea for a show. This one's not as good as the glass one that I watched, which was excellent. Maybe I'll get more into it as I watch. I think I've watched 3 episodes, but if you like that kind of competitive type thing, Metal Shop Masters is on is on Netflix at the moment. So you'll be pleased to know that that's it for the week. That was a long one. Thank you for watching, guys. If there is anything that you would recommend I check out, please put it in the comments. And thank you for watching, guys. I shall check in with you next week. Over and out from Lisa Loves.